DC Comics are picking all kinds of momentum up. I've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks here. We saw the sales in March absolutely blew Marvel out of the water. We've got anecdotal evidence that people are showing up, young people actually showing up and discovering DC Comics for the first time. And this is a lot on the back of the Absolute Universe, which has been a huge success, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Do I love it all? Absolutely not. But I don't need to love it all. The fact that it's successful speaks for itself, and I'm very happy about this. I do think Absolute Batman has been a hoot. It's a fun book. Wonder Woman's been a little bit more uneven, but that last issue was absolute dynamite. Flash has potential. I'm not really all that into Superman or Green Lantern, but even Martian Manhunter from Dennis Camp, a writer I don't particularly respect, was actually pretty decent. Not great, but certainly worth checking out and seeing where it goes. And people are noticing, and the momentum is building up behind DC Comics, unlike the past when they kind of just embarrass themselves a lot. And this is absolutely great news. Absolute Universe is a home run with actual readers. DC Comics Absolute Universe has been a shock success in 2025, connecting with the very audience legacy publishers have been struggling to reach for years, actual comic book readers. According to the latest sales rankings, DC's Absolute Universe claimed 6 of the 10 best-selling single issues in March of 2025. Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, and Martian Manhunter didn't just perform well, they dominated, even beating out Marvel's event books. What's more, new data from Prana Direct Market Solutions shows teenage readers are opening pull lists for the first time, specifically for Absolute Universe titles like Absolute Batman. These aren't Twitter fans or award panels. These are young readers walking into comic book shops and spending money. That's the kind of cultural footprint DC has desperately needed, and certainly has desperately been seeking for several years now. And finally, they found that magic ingredient. Take the best heroes in the entire world, which DC owns, and create new stories with them. Do something exciting with them, and people will come in. Now, do I think the Absolute Universe is going to be around for 20 years? Absolutely not. We've certainly seen the history with these alternate universe type things, but if it's around for 6 years, it's around for 10 years, and has some really successful books, eventually people are going to get addicted. They're going to get hooked to these DC characters, and they're going to mosey on over to that mainline Batman book, that Green Lantern book, that Flash book, whatever character really jumpstarts their imagination and their love for DC heroes. And this is what they've needed to do all along. Instead of alienating their fans, or their potential fans in this case, they gave them a reason to show up, and they absolutely did. But it hasn't always been this way. In fact, DC, it just appeared like they were looking for headlines and accolades rather than actually a paying audience for so long. This does feel overwhelmingly refreshing at this point. Let's not forget some of the missteps. By contrast, DC's earlier new generation efforts like I Am Not Starfire were complete failures, commercially, critically, and culturally. Marketed as a bold YA reinvention of a legacy hero, the book instead became a punchline across YouTube, Reddit, and the wider comic fandom. Sales and interest never really materialized, and DC's own leadership knew it wasn't going to succeed. I think we all remember Marie Javins, DC's editor-in-chief at the time, waving off criticism, claiming the feedback wasn't important because I Am Not Starfire was for a new generation of readers. But the new generation didn't show up. Instead, Mandy became a cautionary tale about prioritizing social messaging over characters, canon, and quality. No pull list, no buzz, no longevity, no sequel, no interest, nobody doing anything to this day but laughing at I Am Not Starfire. But they got headlines, right? We've got this wonderful new young character that's going to bring people in. It drove people away. Not only were the younger readers not interested in that lame-ass character, it made the older generation go, why am I even still supporting DC Comics at this point? If this is what they think the future of comic books is, making these characters into punchlines, not letting them be super heroic, letting a slice of life LGBTQ plus writer, not a superhero writer, and Mariko Tamaki, basically create their own self-insert character and throw it into the DC universe. And we were supposed to just clap like seals, right? Just on command. Well, it never materialized because it was a stupid idea. It was laughable. The moment that you saw the cover, you didn't have to read the book to see that it was an absolute joke. And that's the way people treated it. And that's the way people have been treating DC Comics for a long time, but not anymore. People are taking DC Comics seriously. Do I think all of a sudden DC Comics is going to become the, gorilla in the room when it comes to direct market and just blow away Marvel sales in the next 6 months and ride that out for 20 years? No, I do not believe so. Because DC still are only producing 50 new comic books in a given month. And guess what? Marvel producing more like 80. They're producing so many more books, but DC is closing the gap by shutting down failed ideas and strategies like I Am Not Starfire. Certainly that was a YA graphic novel, but we also saw it in the mainline universe with their own comic books, driving people away, making sure that new readers knew DC Comics is not the place for you. We don't want to do anything cool. We just want to turn people off and make headlines and garner awards and stuff like that. I think we all remember this. Another infamous misfire was Superman, Son of Kal-El, DC's first series starring a gay Superman. Jonathan Kent, the media blitz was enormous. CNN, the New York Times, every major pop culture outlet ran glowing headlines about DC's progressiveness. But readers didn't stick around. Within a year, sales plummeted, and the series was canceled. DC had banked on John Kent being a symbol of the times, an LGBTQ plus flag plant, rather than a compelling character. Instead of building long-term goodwill, DC alienated longtime Superman fans who felt like they were being sidelined for buzz-chasing headlines. Writer Tom Taylor insisted, if we're going to have a new Superman, why not make him fight real-world issues? The result? A forgettable run, minimal sales, and a lost opportunity to make John Kent a real pillar of the DCU. And that is the biggest opportunity lost in that, is that John Kent, through Superman and certainly Super Sons, had been established and looked like he was destined for greatness in DC Comics, a real future ahead of him, kind of like a Nightwing. Maybe not an A-lister, but a character that was compelling, that people loved, that they wanted to kind of grow up with. And they ruined all of that. Not only did they ruin all that, the original sin on John Kent certainly was aging him up by Brian Michael Bendis. He destroyed the Superman franchise. Philip Kennedy Johnson comes in on Action Comics, starts restoring some of the prestige to it. Sales start increasing. Unfortunately, the only other Superman book, the flagship Superman book, was Superman, Son of Kal-El. And it made the Superman dry spell where people are like, what is going on with the character? It pushed it out for another year. Did so much damage to the character that it's not even funny. Thankfully, Superman is now recovering. We're getting the big movie. We're getting the Summer of Superman initiative and all that stuff. But this probably should have been happening 18 months ago. But they couldn't pull it off because Tom Taylor needed that GLAAD award. Tom Taylor needed to be on CNN. Tom Taylor needed to be telling everybody just how amazingly progressive he was, because he was going to have the first openly gay Superman in DC Comics. And what is John Kent these days? A character that had all the potential in the world, had his own audience. I've got comic books I like to share with my kids. There's only been a few that they really love from Marvel and DC. Guess what one of them was? Super Sons. They love that book. A lot of people love that book. Adults and kids alike. Would have been the perfect entry vehicle for a generation of fans. They ruined that, and then they made it worse because now John Kent, you can't really find him anywhere. What is John Kent in DC Comics now? He is a Pride Month variant cover model. That's all he's good for. You got Pride Month? Throw the gay Superman on the cover. Hopefully we can garner some sales that way, because we can't even get a freaking mini-series out of the character right now. Right now, I think he's being languished in Secret 6 with Nicole Maines. That is how far John Kent, the heir apparent to Superman, has fallen in the cultural zeitgeist. Nobody cares about the character. He's an afterthought. People aren't even really asking what happened to John Kent anymore. They just know. DC Comics basically destroyed him so they could get a headline on Out magazine. How did that work out for Bud Light? How did it work out for DC Comics? It didn't work out for anybody. It didn't garner any sales, but now things are turning around. What these examples show is that trying to attract real readers, not Twitter likes and GLAAD awards, is the only sustainable path forward. Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman didn't launch with press releases about sexuality in politics. They launched with familiar names, fresh stories, and creators people knew. And it's working. Prana's March 2025 retailer survey found that a surprising number of teens are now starting pull lists for the very first time, with Absolute titles leading the charge. DC spent years alienating readers with lecture-driven books that no one bought. Now they're publishing actual superhero comics again. The audience is responding. It's proof that when you respect the fans and the characters, the market listens. When you disrespect them, it doesn't matter how many headlines you score, the sales crash. And I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard on this one, but I think once again, myself, other people that are a part of the Think Critical family, and certainly a lot of other YouTubers out there that are willing to go out there and put up with all the abuse that comes with actually pointing out the facts. Yes, you have Superman, DC, and Wonder Woman. Put out the best stories with these characters, and people will eventually come back. Nobody wanted to listen to us. They scoffed at us. They didn't believe us. Now we have an initiative out there with exciting versions of these heroes that young people are recognizing, and they're owning it. They're saying, that's my Superman, that's my Batman. And I think eventually you're going to see them graduate and fall in to some of those other amazing stories, because you read Absolute Batman and all of a sudden you find out about Batman Year One. All of a sudden you find out about the Killing Joke. You find out about the Dark Knight Returns. You find out about the Court of Owls. You find out about the Black Mirror and all the amazing Batman stories that are out there. All of a sudden you're an absolute Superman fan. Well, maybe I should go out there and check out Red Sun, another kind of evil version of Superman. Maybe I should actually go out there and check out the Jeff Johns run. Maybe I should go check out some Kurt Swan art. Maybe I should check out that Peter J. Tomasi Superman run. And next thing you know, you have a real Superman fan. This was always the recipe to do it. I Am Not Starfire was a joke. Superman Son of Kal-El was a joke. They were there for headlines. They were there for press, publicity. But they were never, ever going to actually bring people into comic book shops. And I think a lot of people who put years tirelessly into pointing these things out are being vindicated at this very moment. And I'm glad that it's happening. And I want to see success. I don't just want to see DC succeed. And I am more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan. But I hope Marvel follows their lead, cuts out 40 of their titles, all the crap, and goes all in on quality, trying to attract new readers, because comic books is the greatest storytelling medium in the world. I firmly believe that all the way down to the bottom of my heart. I believe that wholeheartedly. That's why I put so much love into the comic book industry, covering every single day right here on the channel. I've been doing this for years upon years, and I'm so happy. It feels like somebody has finally realized that clout chasing and trying to be recognized as the world's best ally was never a winning formula when it came to sales. You need to feature these heroes with compelling stories front and center. DC are doing it, and they're being rewarded. Now it's time for Marvel to get on board, get with the program, and let's turn all of this around. Let's make Image bigger than it's ever been. Let's make Mad Cave bigger than it's ever been. Let's make all these other publishers that rely on Marvel and DC to lead the way bigger than they've ever been. Let's blow it all up. Let's make retailers have the greatest year they've ever had, starting in 2025 and even get it even bigger in 2026. I really think all this is possible because I'm seeing so many good signs and I'm seeing real momentum in the industry, and I'm so happy. We're not fully behind the days of I'm Not Starfire and Superman Son of Kal-El. Yes, we do still have Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over, but hopefully that'll be the last of an embarrassing era of DC Comics. If you appreciate what we're doing here on Think Critical YouTube and you would like to be a part of that, support the channel, help us keep the lights on, the videos flowing forward, and become a part of the Think Critical family. There's one place to do it that's better than the others, and it's called Think Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. There's a button right here, and we are talking about comic books nonstop with your favorite guests on the channel, but much longer formats. I hope to see you there very, very soon because we are having a great time on the Patreon.